We'll start where we just literally left over the weekend up in beautiful Boston, Mass. So let's go and check out Belle Smith because she joined us on the old Packer and Durham show. And here's BC once again, man. We talk about championship weekend. It's all about BC. Belle, first of all, it's great seeing you again. Congratulations on a fabulous year. But the best is yet to come, isn't it? This upcoming weekend. You've been a part of this stuff before. I know you guys are going to be incredibly excited.
Oh, yeah, we're so excited. Thank you for having me on here. Our coach even said it after our Notre Dame game. She said, we've been here the last few years, but I think we have to remember that it's not normal to go to a Final Four. It's something you should really be proud of and celebrate. So we're excited.
So then how did you guys celebrate that win and punching your ticket to the Final Four? I'm sure it wasn't some blowout party, but I'm hoping there was some way you guys were able to just enjoy the moment together and in the fashion you did.
Yeah, totally. I think for us, it was just the tailgate after the game with our parents, being able to be with our fans and feel loved and feel proud of ourselves. But, that night and that next day, we got right back to watching film. I think our celebration was more of getting ready and prepared for our next game in the Final Four.
Bill, it's always fun to watch afar, and we are fans on the couch watching everybody play. But it's kind of cool to watch a team kind of catch fire at the right time. And you're on an amazing run. And I kind of go back to that end of the regular season when you took on Syracuse, and lo and behold, here we go again. And Syracuse at the time was number one, undefeated, and you win that game. And it was almost like, again, you'll have a better front row seat than we will. But from afar, it just looks like this team took it to another level, including finally conquering that ACC championship. And now here you are again. And I'm sure you probably thought, you know what, we're going to probably have to see Syracuse one more time. And lo and behold, it's exactly what you get.
Yeah, when we play some of those top ACC teams and we're shaking hands at the end of the game, we know a lot of those girls and those other teams, and we're constantly saying, we'll see you soon. You know you're going to see them at the end of the year again, and that's what makes playing in the ACC so exciting. You're guaranteed to see each other again. So, yeah.
I do. Pack alluded to you guys finally winning an ACC championship, getting that proverbial monkey off of your back, because it's been something Coach has even said, like, we just haven't been good enough to win it. But this year we were good enough. For you guys, how did it feel internally to finally do that? Did it feel like there was a little bit of a shift?
Oh, yeah, it felt great. Coach always says we aren't good enough to win it. And I think this year, even in the beginning of the year, we weren't. We went off to a little bit more of a slow start than we usually have in the past. And I think it's a blessing in disguise for us. We learned what we needed to work on, how we needed to adapt, how we needed to play better together. And that's what made us that team that could win the ACC championship and hopefully another national championship soon.
Belle, does the postseason play now seem kind of routine? I mean, you're in it all the time, and I'm sure every year is different, every team's different, but does this now start to feel like, hey, this is what we do? I mean, I know that sounds like a kind of a goofy question.
No, that's a great question. I think at BC now we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And as though some people may think that's a bad thing, but I actually think it's a great thing. If you're in a position to put pressure on yourself, it means that you've done something right in the past and you've accomplished things, and you want to keep doing it. So I definitely think, I don't know if I'd say the word routine. I think when you start to say routine, that it becomes a little bit too much of a habit. You have to know that you have to get better and change things every single day if you want to get better. But I definitely think going to a Final Four is a goal of ours, and we don't settle for any less right now.
Okay, so as a freshman, you win the whole thing. As a sophomore, you fall short. What did you take from each of those seasons that you can apply now as a junior and a real leader on this team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one thing is, a lot of people have said over this past year, the past 2 years, honestly, a lot of it at the Final Four is who shows up on game day. And although I'm a firm believer of that, I also there's part of me that disagrees with it too. I think, the second you find out who your opponent is, we knew after we beat Notre Dame right away, we found out we were playing Cuse, and the work starts that day. So I think the one thing I've learned from winning one and losing one is just knowing that the winner doesn't come from that day and that moment. It's a week of preparation is how you win.
Is it helpful that you've seen them before, or would you be better off saying, hey, guess what? Let me go jump on somebody who haven't played before?
Something special about Cuse is we know them really well and they know us really well, which makes it going to be a really good game and a lot of preparation there. So I definitely like seeing teams I already have played. Their tendencies. They know ours, though. So it's that fine line of who's going to work harder this week to adapt to those tendencies.
All right, so we're going to have Connor Schellenberger coming up here in just a little bit from Virginia, and people call him Mr. May because he just seems to turn it into another gear when it comes postseason. And you could be Miss May at this point because you had 8 points in this win. I know in the quarters last year, I think you had 7 goals in the quarterfinals. What is it for you in postseason play that just changes a little bit? I know you're probably a pretty routine athlete, but it just feels like a different gear.
Yeah, I think when you realize it's do or die, you put a lot more on the line. I remember my coach said to me before the game this week against Notre Dame, she said, just be authentic, Belle. Be your authentic self. Don't think so much, just play Belle Lacrosse. And I think that really helped me. Don't think too much, just do your thing. And I felt like that's what I did this weekend. So I'm hoping that happens next week as well.
We're going to kind of get away from lacrosse a little bit because I know you almost need a break from it in some respects. You know, this is the most important week of the year. But we were given a little info on you that your cooking skills are really the key to success. Would you like to elaborate on that?
So I was a horrible cook. And then I'm in an off-campus house this year. So my roommates and myself have been starting to cook more, do dinners together. So I wouldn't say I'm the best in the house, but I've definitely been getting better.
All right. So what's the go-to? Like if you were out to really impress, whether it be teammates or somebody else, what would be the go-to for Belle?
I'm Italian, so probably just an Italian dish, some chicken, pasta, the huge for me.
Can't go wrong there, can you, Belle?
Really
I mean, that's like a no-brainer, right? I mean, boil water and let's put some fresh pasta in there. I mean, the chicken thing, you know, eventually we'll figure that one out, right?
Exactly. Simple, right to the point. Everyone loves a good Italian dish.
You're right.
In order to be authentic, Belle, and I know that also requires, a mental thing too, is you can do everything physically. We know how great of an athlete you are, but mentally too, being right. So what are ways, maybe cooking's one, that you really get your mental right before a game and leading into a game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, my parents always told me growing up, a good player makes themselves better, but a great player makes those around them better. So I think just watching film that week, finding the gaps in the offense, talking to my teammates about it, creating space for them, making gaps for them so they can execute their plays at a high level. I think just finding ways to help out your teammates on the field throughout the week.
Belle, what is this team doing better now than it did prior to the Syracuse game?
We're playing together. We're playing for each other. Before every single game in the huddle, that's all we're talking about. Look to the person to the right and left of you, win it for them, work hard for them, make a play that's going to help them. If someone turns the ball over, get it back for them and vice versa. I think we're just so together right now, and no one wants the others to lose to their left and right.
As a midfielder, you kind of have a unique perspective because you get to dabble offensively and defensively. So you get to see a little bit of everything. Defensively, we'll start on that area of the ball because it feels like you guys are outstanding there. What's clicking for this defense here lately?
Yeah, our defense is super interesting. It's all about communication and reading the offenses. Like I said, it's a different defense every single game. We study our opponent and we adapt to them. I think for us, it's just all about communication. Like I said, I'm a midfielder. So I get down to the defensive end, and the first thing I'm doing is opening my ears and listening to my defenders. We have some of the best defenders, if not the best defenders in the country. So I'm fortunate that when I go down there, all I have to do is listen to them to get the job done. So I think just working cohesively, watching film on other teams, adapting to them, and working together, communicating.
And what about for the attack unit?
Same thing. I think something special about our attack is it's complete 7-threat offense. There's not one person that's going to take control of the whole game. We need all 7 people to have a great game to win the whole thing. And I think same thing as defense, just communicating with each other, working to get each other open, not ourselves open. That's what we've been working on a lot lately, and we've been successful because of it.
Bill, I know every year is different, but has there been something that has happened with this team in this run that you go, hey, you know what? That reminds me when we won the national championship. I mean, is there could be a game, a play, something that was said, maybe a sign. I mean, you never know. There's always some kind of abstract thing that some folks can kind of tie. We're kind of destined to win this thing. But is there something that resonates with you with that?
Yeah, I don't think one thing specifically, but there was a point almost, I think, halfway through the season where we took out our binders, we had all our scouting reports and all that good stuff in there, and we actually just threw everything out. We started from scratch on the field that day. We got our first paper that showed the rest of our journey we had this year. I want to say it started with Pitt. And we threw everything else before that out. And we were like, no, this is a clean slate. This is a new team. Who do we want to be today? What do we want our identity to be today and for the rest of the season? And ever since that day, we've had a perfect season so far since then, which is pretty cool how it flipped for us.
Self-evaluation. I like that. So what does the rest of the week look like? Because you guys do know how this goes. This isn't new territory. So you know the routine. What does this week look like before you guys head down south?
Yeah, so this week we leave on Tuesday for North Carolina, and we'll have our practices there. Not really any time off. It's meetings, it's recovery, it's practice, it's meetings again, then more film. No really breaks here, and we live for that. We love it, and I think that's why we've been successful.
Well, I tell you what, we were just up in your neck of the woods, and we did the show Friday from Fenway Park. And man, if you could promise that the weather is going to be as nice as it was when we were up there, we might come up there and visit you guys more often. Quite frankly, it was perfect.
You have to. I mean, the baseball team just played in Fenway this week, and it was incredible. The atmosphere was awesome. That's something I love about Boston, is how much camaraderie there is around the sports. The fact that the teams get to play in those professional arenas is really special.
Yeah. We'll see how scheduling pans out, but will you girls sit around and watch the baseball team? Because they're going to be playing in the ACC tournament this week.
I know. We're kind of the only two teams left on campus, nonetheless, the only people left on campus. Right. So that's probably how we're going to be spending our time for sure. They've been having a great season.
Congratulations on all your success. I remember you from the Packer and Durham show, and I mean, you guys always handling yourselves with class, and we love your coach and everything else. And again, can't wait for a matchup. Syracuse, BC, North Carolina is great too. It's been an amazing year of women's lacrosse. And I just know there's going to be an ACC team playing for a national championship, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you. Hopefully it's us.
All right, Belle. Take care of yourself. Be good.
Thank you.
Off she goes. Belle Smith, great player.
Baller.